is the best fit for you. Check your credit, compare your card. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
NBC News Radio, I'm Tom Roberts. President Trump's travel ban is going into effect at this hour. Joe Gomez has more.
A recent Supreme Court decision temporarily upholds parts of the travel ban. The ban restricts travel from 6 majority Muslim countries unless the traveler has a, quote, bona fide relationship with someone in the United States.
Some Republicans are among the lawmakers rebuking President Trump's Twitter attack on MSNBC's Mika Brzezinski.
The president described Brzezinski as crazy and said she showed up at his Mar-a-Lago resort around New Year's Eve bleeding badly from a facelift. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham tweeted the comment was beneath the office and represents what is wrong with American politics.
That's Bill Zimfer. President Trump is applauding the House for passing 2 new immigration measures. In a statement, Trump said Kate's Law and the No Sanctuary for Criminals Act will make communities safer, and he urged the Senate to pass the bill so he can sign them. Kate's Law increases the sentences for illegal immigrants who re-enter the U.S. after being convicted of crimes. A top advisor to Pope Francis is denying the sexual assault charges against him in Australia. Cardinal George Pell has been charged with what Australian police call multiple historic sexual assault offenses. Pell says he's innocent and is looking forward to his day in court, but this Vatican tourist says what happened with Cardinal Pell hurts the Catholic Church.
It's a big deal, and I think it's something that needs to be taken quite seriously and not something the Church can throw away and kind of sweep under the rug.
Pell is the Vatican treasurer. 2 police officers in Texas are fighting for their lives. San Antonio Police Chief William McManus says the officers were shot this afternoon as they tried to make contact with 2 people near San Antonio College. McManus says one suspect was shot while the second was captured. Paris Hilton's brother is pleading not guilty to felony harassment charges filed by his former girlfriend in L.A. Conrad Hilton's accused of stealing a Bentley belonging to his ex-girlfriend's father and violating a restraining order last month. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Tri-City Center has shoppers whistling a happy tune. School's out and vacation fun is on. Gear up for fun at the Tri-City Center, the mall with a heart, at the heart of the 210 and 10 freeways in Redlands. Discover lots of new stores and old friends that'll make your summer shopping a breeze with friendly local shop owners, great values, personal services, and easy storefront parking. You need more fun and more time. Find your summer fun at the Tri-City Center. Nearly 60 shops, lots of personal services, fashions, and savings too. Do that much needed shopping at Big Lots and the Dollar Tree. Get the job done at Burlington. Have some yummy See's candy or delicious ice cream. Do more and save more and stress less at the Tri-City Center. Plan ahead at TriCityCenter.com. That's TriCityCenter.com. Then visit our real mall in Redlands at the 10 and 210 freeway. We're the mall with a heart, and summer fun is on sale now at the Tri-City Center in Redlands.
This is KCAA.
Hi, y'all. Merle here. Good news. For once, my neighbors is jealous of me. You want to know why? Because my grass is growing and looking green, and I can sit on my sofa out in the front yard, and I don't even have to overwater it anymore. You know how I did it? I listened to Damn Water Boys on the Water Zone every Thursday night on KCAA. Well, I got me a smart controller, and now it waters at night, and my yard looks darn tootin'. No more sneaking around and hooking up my hose to my neighbor's spigot in the middle of the night, and his dog won't bite me anymore. And you can do it too. Listening is easier than ever. KCAA is now streaming online.
It's streaming.
What?
It's streaming, you dummy.
Well, I don't know much about streaming, but they doing it apparently at KCAAradio.com. And they also on 3 radio frequencies now too. 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. I guess that's for those 1%ers who have 3 radios. So anywho, listen to the Water Zone and fix your yacht up right here at KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Live from the NBC News radio broadcasting studios of KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, located in beautiful downtown San Bernardino. Thank you for tuning into the Water Zone Show. Good afternoon. I'm Rob Starr. Mr. Mike Barron is out today because this is our agriculture show week. We do have an in-house guest that does usually our news, and she stopped by today at my office, and I thought she'd come down and have good fun. So this is the purveyor of Maven's Notebook, Miss Chris Austin. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. We got a great show tonight, and we have our two wonderful people from our micro-irrigation group who will be taking over as hosts, Miss Ingy Bisconer and Mr. Paul McFadden. Hi, guys. How you doing today? Hello?
Go with you. Hi, Chris.
Hey, hi, Ingy.
Hey, Chris.
Hello.
We're looking forward to a great show tonight. We're having a theme about recycling and being more sustainable for our great state of California, both with plastics and water and energy, all three. So stay tuned. We've got a couple of great guests coming up.
Excellent. Just so our listeners know, they can call in at 909-888-5222, or if you're calling outside the area code, it's 888-909-1050. That's toll free. And they can also watch us at kcaaradio.com or go to Ustream and do that. Just one quick announcement, and then I'll turn it over to you guys. As part of the irrigation industry's promotion of Smart Irrigation Month during July, this show, The Water Zone, which is sponsored by the Toro Company, is conducting a contest for regional elementary schools located in Southern California to have a chance to win an outdoor living and educational garden for their students. And the Toro Company will create and install native and edible garden, and the children will have the opportunity to obtain skills to grow, maintain, preserve, and prepare healthy food. That'll be something. Toro will also provide educational material about soil science, irrigation, and solar technologies, and information that will help increase nutrition, knowledge, and understanding the value of living things. So listeners and viewers of the Water Zone, you're encouraged to nominate a local elementary school who will benefit from this contest. It's real simple. All you do is send it in your nomination to Toro Irrigation Marketing at Toro.com for a chance to win. That's Toro Irrigation Marketing at Toro.com. And I'm sorry for the long length of that, but I didn't create that email. So got to do that. And the contest will begin officially on July 6th, and it'll end July 31st, and we'll pick a winning school, be announced on August 3rd broadcast. So hopefully any of you listeners who have a favorite elementary school or think a school can benefit from that, please just send it into that, and hopefully we'll have a great winner, and it'll be a great effort. So anyway, I'll turn it over to Paul and Ingy. It's all yours.
Thanks, Rob. We'll forgive you since it wasn't your fault. So, A-okay. So we've got a great guest tonight. His name is Jeremy Plagenza. Jeremy, are you there?
I'm here, Ingy.
Awesome. Well, Jeremy, welcome to the show. Let me introduce you to our listening audience. We're pleased to be able to have Jeremy on hand tonight to talk for about the next 20 minutes about recycling plastics in our great state of California. Jeremy has been in the plastics industry for over 17 years, and he has spent the last 10 running his own manufacturing and recycling business up in the Central Valley of California. He joined Revolution Plastics, which is a subsidiary of Delta Plastics, in early 2016 as the Director of Operations. So, Jeremy, tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up in the ag plastic recycling industry.
Well, thanks for having me on first, Ingy and Paul. It's an honor to be on the Water Zone with you. It's a great question because most kids, when they're growing up, as you could imagine, don't dream about going into the recycling ag plastic industry, but it's a phenomenal industry.
You're kidding.
Yeah, could you imagine? In early, around 2005, I was running my own plastics manufacturing plant, and we started using agricultural plastic in our products that we were making. So, growing up on a family dairy from Central California, I knew that there was a lot of ag plastic out there to be recycled, and it was a natural fit for us to use this recycled plastic in the product that we were making. I quickly realized, though, there was way more plastic than I could ever recycle in our manufacturing process. I was having to turn farmers away almost from the get-go. I think it was at that point that I made the decision to jump into the plastics recycling industry.
You chose plastics recycling rather than milking cows? I can't believe it.
I'm one of, fun fact here, I'm one of 13, Ingy, so I was the middle child, and you can imagine how many of us wanted to stay on the farm. Out of 13 of us, I got 6 older brothers and 4 younger sisters and 2 younger brothers. None of us stayed on the dairy. When it was time to leave home, we kissed the dairy goodbye.
Oh, that's too bad. But so they shipped you off to other countries and other industries such as ag plastic recycling. I understand now.
Well, dairy
still stayed in, still loved ag, still stayed in ag, even with the ag plastic recycling. It's a natural fit, and some of the best customers that we have or that use our service are actually dairy folks. So it's a great industry.
Well, yeah, you're able to help the dairies now rather than work for them. Or work for one. You're able to help them by recycling their plastics.
Absolutely.
Jeremy, tell us a little bit about Revolution Plastics, Delta Plastics, how they got into the business, and where do you operate as a company, and tell us some other things that may be important or interesting to the listening audience about Delta and Revolution, please.
Well, yeah, 16 months ago, Paul, I came on board with Revolution Plastics. Like you said, it's owned by Delta Plastics. They're the largest ag plastic recycler in the country. Revolution Plastics recognized that California is really the great frontier for ag plastics. As we sit in meetings and we talk about where we're going to put another operation, California was first in line. It really is the great frontier for plastic ag recycling. It's important because California Ag has a domestic company now with over 20 years of plastic recycling experience working to take care of this problem, and it is a problem. Revolution is a privately held company. It's part of Delta Plastics, and Delta Plastics is a leading manufacturer of polytubing in the Mississippi Delta. They're located in Little Rock, Arkansas. Our founder and chairman, Dew Thompson, and the Thompson family started a recycling program because they were concerned about the polytube that they were manufacturing ending up in the landfill or sitting out in big piles out on the farm. So he started with a cement mixer, believe it or not, a cement mixer and a water hose. That's how he washed his first pound of plastic, and we have recycled over 1 billion pounds. That's with a B, billion pounds. When Revolution Plastics started collecting here in California 16 months ago, we had one location. It was in the central San Joaquin Valley. We had 5 employees. We were collecting 400,000 pounds a month, which is sizable. It makes a dent. But since then, we've added 2 additional locations, one in the southern San Joaquin Valley and one on the Central Coast. We employ now over 30 people. Revolution Plastics is collecting about 3 million pounds. We're just coming in on that 3 million pounds a month. It's important to the listening audience because Revolution Plastics is diverting millions of pounds of ag plastic from our landfills and employing California workers. It's important.
Just a quick follow-up. You mentioned that Delta, one of the primary products that Delta Plastics makes is the tube. Explain what the tube is and what it does and how it's used in the Delta.
Yeah, so in the Delta, the Mississippi Delta, they don't have the water issues that we have here in California, so there's a lot of flood irrigating. Rice is flood irrigated, and so it's a lay flat. It's 8-inch to 22-inch, and basically just tubing to move water around the fields and irrigate.
So, Jeremy, what on earth are you doing with the 1 billion pounds of plastic that you collect from farms in the Delta and the 3 million pounds of plastic that you're collecting now in California, now that you have expanded service over the last 16 months? What do you do with all that?
Yeah, well, what makes us so unique, Ingy, is that we keep all of this ag plastic we collect right here in the United States. We use all that ag plastic we collect in our Eco Logo certified can liners. trash bags. We make polytubing, like I was saying. We make construction and ag film. Also, we use ag plastic for Revolution Board. It's a landscaping product that is used in the landscaping industry. Ag plastic recycled material is ideal for these applications because it's a high performance value and the demands that it's under because of the extreme conditions that ag plastics are used under. In the past, this ag film, Ingy, has been landfilled, it's been buried on the farm, or even burned. So this ag film is even sent as far away as Asia, China, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam. So these are really not sustainable solutions.
So you're taking this plastic and you're using it. In the past, you said we ship it all offshore, but I think there's still companies in the country that still will package it up or bale it, this material, and ship it to the countries that you mentioned. But everything that Revolution has stays here in the U.S. and creates jobs in the U.S., also diminishes the landfill burden for all that plastic that's just going to sit there for years and years and years, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We use all of this plastic here in the United States.
Well, that creates jobs, and as you say, it prevents us from shipping things overseas, which I think has a variable market, right? I mean, resins go up and down. Recycled resins or PCR, post-consumer resins, they have variable rates. And, you know, the reputation has been that recyclers come and go and they're not consistent. And maybe elaborate on that a little bit on how Delta and Revolution Plastics is different and overcomes that deficiency in the recycling business.
Well, yeah, that's a great question, Ingy. Maybe one of the things that we need to clarify is the word recyclers, because most of these companies picking up ag plastic really are just waste haulers. They don't recycle anything. They are more opportunistic, and God bless them, but they're opportunistic businessmen or women who, when plastic prices are up, they'll collect plastic. But when prices are down, they will leave the market after making many promises to the farmer. It's one of our greatest challenges as we talk to farmers. They've just seen this over and over where someone promises that they'll pick that plastic up, they'll be there year after year, they'll be a dependable solution, and then they pull out of the market when prices come down, and the farmer is left with this big problem again. You know, one of the things that really makes Revolution Plastics so different is our circular business model. You know, we collect the plastic, we recycle the plastic, and then manufacture an end-use product for this recycled plastic.
So, Jeremy, if you could elaborate a little bit on, you said the pick up the plastic, the new app that Revolution has developed. I think our listeners would be interested to know about the new application that farmers can use, along with the unique trucks that actually do the picking up. So could you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Yeah, sorry, Paul. I absolutely. That's probably the most important part of how we are separated from other recyclers. Typically in the past, these recyclers have dropped a debris bin. The farmer is left to fill it up. They call several times. Why we're so different is we have created an app. You can go to the App Store, and you can find it under Ag Plastic Pickup. You fill out your farm information, and it'll prompt you through to where you actually can take a picture using your smartphone, take a picture of the pile of plastic that is sitting there out in the field. A lot of these places don't have addresses, as you know. It's remote places. But when you take a picture of that plastic, it'll drop a longitude and latitude pin right on that plastic, and you hit request. It requests a pickup from us, and we end up sending trucks. You usually get an email notification within 24 hours saying whether or not your material has been qualified. You know, once that truck gets out there, another great benefit to the farmer is when we send out these grapple trucks, they have a claw on them. So picture maybe picking up a tennis ball with your hand. Well, this claw has the ability to pick up over 2,000 pounds. So we can self-load all this material ourselves. In times past, the farmers had to load this material themselves, costing them labor, costing him money, and most importantly, it cost him time. But again, that really is what sets us apart, and that's, I think one of the things that also sets us apart. It can't be undervalued. If you call, we pick up. A lot of people, when they call, they're surprised that we're so prompt to pick up and address any concerns or issues that they have, and we're able to work through those. And people have just been tremendously satisfied with this service.
Yeah, I read one grower's testimonial about your service that basically said they called you and you said you'd come tomorrow, and you came tomorrow and you did a good job and left it clean, which was really important to them, and they're going to call you next time. So that's a pretty good testimonial.
Yeah, absolutely. We love those testimonials. We have farmers that are calling us, and after we're done, they just how professional the drivers are and how clean the trucks are. Being in ag recycling, we take care of the equipment. It looks sharp. It's professional, and there's no issues or problems. And if there ever is, maybe a truck gets stuck once in a while out in the wintertime. Always quick to take care of those things. But for the most part, we have not had any issues. And I would venture to say that most testimonials will probably be like you just read, Ingy.
Yeah. Well, I've also heard you, and Paul has a follow-up for you.
Well, yeah, just was curious. I was thinking, ag plastic, we think of a field, that plastic has got to be pretty dirty, with soil and debris on it. It's not like a lot of our listeners that have a curbside recycling bin where they will put bottles and cans that are relatively clean. There's no dirt. Perhaps you can share with us, Jeremy, a little bit of the differences between the two and how you're so successful in the cleaning process, getting the plastic ready to make into your eco trash bags.
Yeah, and really the one of the major things, and we really try to educate the farmer on this because the farmer has some responsibility here as he's rolling the plastic, whether it's drip tape or drip tube or hoop house film. We ask him to clean the plastic as good as he can, not rolling it around in the dirt, and without giving away too much of the secret sauce, Paul, because it really sets us apart from any of the competitors in this industry is our wash process. It's all about throughput. If you're not getting the throughput when you're washing and cleaning this plastic, you're not going to be profitable, and it's not going to be a sustainable business. And Delta Plastics has been around for over 20 years, our sister company, Delta Plastics, and we bring all of that know-how to the California recycling industry.
Well, it sounds like we really needed it because you're coming in just 16 months ago and you're buried with orders. How much plastic is there in California, and what is the what's the opportunity for you here?
Well, the opportunity, Ingy, is immense. Simply put, there's no place in the United States that uses as much ag plastic as California. California, I don't know if the listeners realize this, but California ranks number one for food production. Where food is being grown, plastic is being used. The days of burying or landfilling or shipping this plastic overseas, it's not a sustainable solution. One of the reasons why I get excited about talking about plastic, recycling plastic, ag plastic recycling, is because the sheer volume in the state. When we, I think I had said that when we sit around and we talk about California, just the sheer volume that's here in California is a great opportunity for us. We're excited about that opportunity. But we estimate over 150 million pounds of plastic is put down every year in California.
So you're from a future standpoint, Jeremy, you think that as long as we have water and labor and all the inputs to keep growing food and of course land, that the future for agriculture and as a result the future for plastic recycling is pretty good. Would you say?
Yes, absolutely. We don't see that California food production isn't slowing down. I know this last drought was hard on the farmers, but as we've got rain and we're excited about the future of plastic being used. And plastic really, and you know this, Ingy and Paul, plastic really helps to lower water consumption or water use in the irrigating process. We no longer in California flood irrigate. A lot of this, or very rarely, flood irrigate. Plastic is important to save that important resource, water. So as long as we have water, and then farming will take place here in California. There's no other place in California that produces as much food, whether it's grapes or almonds or silage corn for the dairies. There's just endless amounts of food grown here, and so no, we don't see that stopping anytime soon. We only see the growth of ag plastic in the industry in California.
Well, Jeremy, thank you for helping our industry. We're in the drip irrigation business, of course, at Toro Ag, and as you said, our drip irrigation equipment, our plastic drip irrigation equipment, helps consume less water and resources and increase productivity of the land and per unit of water for the farmers. And you've helped us close that loop of what to do with the plastic when it's spent and becomes plastic that needs to be recycled. So, hey, if any of our listeners have farmers as friends, have them download the app, Ag Plastic Pickup. It's like ride sharing for plastic. And contact the Revolution Plastics folks in California. Thank you, Jeremy, for joining us tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you, Ingy. Thank you, Paul.
Rob, it's back to you.
All right, we're going to take a little break, and we'll be back here on the Water Zone on KCAA on various stations, 1050 AM, 102.3 and 106.5. Stick around, talk more water and products.
This is Brooke's yard, and Brooke loves spending time with her kids. What she doesn't love are the ugly bare spots in her lawn. That's why Brooke uses Scott's Easy Seed. Unlike seed alone, with proper care, Easy Seed's all-in-one growing solution grows grass anywhere. The first time, guaranteed. This is a Scott's yard. Pick up Scott's Easy Seed today.
Are you looking for a place to buy your landscape and gardening items? Come visit us at SiteOne Landscape Supply. We offer a large and quality selection of irrigation, landscape, and outdoor living products such as Toro's water-efficient precision nozzles. SiteOne Landscape Supply has over 30 locations right here in Southern California, and we are the largest national wholesale distributor of landscape supplies in the United States. SiteOne's knowledgeable and friendly staff is equipped to help you with all your landscape, irrigation, and outdoor living projects. Whether you're redoing your backyard into a drought-tolerant garden or creating a water-efficient landscape for your client, SiteOne has everything you need, including the latest in water-saving technologies, drought-tolerant plants for your yard, irrigation supplies, fertilizer and weed control products, landscape accessories, hardscape products, outdoor lighting, and much, much more. Visit SiteOne.com to find a store near you or stop by today. SiteOne. We are stronger together.
Well, welcome back to the second half of the Water Zone show today, and I learned a lot about recycled farming plastics, which I never knew there was a whole bunch of. I knew about our drip irrigation plastic stuff, but I didn't realize everything else that's there. So for me, it's very interesting. I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful host of our Ag, Ms. Ingy Bisconer and Mr. Paul McFadden.
Thanks, Rob. We have another very fascinating guest, Bruce Marlowe. Bruce, are you with us?
Yes, I'm online.
Excellent. Thank you. Let me introduce Bruce, and he's got a very interesting background and has a very interesting solution to wastewater and tailwater in the ag sector, but also could be used in various applications. Bruce has been a leader in the development of innovative energy solutions since 1972. During his career, he supported the nuclear power industry, driving technology forward and leading large integrated projects. In 2006, while working as a vice president for the French energy technology company Areva, Bruce was introduced to the environmental and clean water challenges in the California Central Valley, or the San Joaquin Valley. His concern for these challenges led Bruce to the Panoche Water District, which, as some of our listeners may remember, we've had on as a guest. The Panoche District, of course, is right in the epicenter of the sustainable management of agricultural drainage water. Bruce's efforts ultimately have led to his involvement in the creation of WaterFX, a solar desalination company that has demonstrated its capabilities as a clean water solution driven by renewable energy. Bruce is a board member and active leader in the growth of WaterFX, Hydro Revolution, and the Aquaphor technology. Welcome, Bruce.
Well, thank you.
Tell us a little bit, if you would, please, about your background, and it's very interesting, very diverse, how you ended up in the ag, irrigation, and water industry in the San Joaquin Valley of California.
Well, it is a bit interesting. Back about a decade ago, there was a revolution or a resurgence in the nuclear power industry, and many companies jumped back in the game, designing and qualifying new design reactors, and the company Areva was leading the forefront of that, of a 1,600 megawatt nuclear power plant that they were working to deploy around the world. And as part of that effort in the United States, we were looking at the state of California, and there was a group of we'll say, farmers and businessmen in the Fresno area that were interested in building a nuclear plant in the Fresno area and using the energy to clean water. And so that became my introduction to water, where in the past I've been dealing on the power side and helping to run and operate these power plants. This was an approach which was very interesting. And as I learned more about what water are we cleaning, I learned more about the agricultural drainage water challenges and the problems with just water and the challenges with water in the state of California, for which I wasn't very familiar with at the time. And so that actually drove me over to have quite a passion for trying to solve some of the water challenges in the Central Valley of California and optimize the use of clean energy to do it.
So, Bruce, this is Inge. That's fascinating that a group of farmers actually wanted to build a nuclear power plant in order to clean water in the Central Valley. Tell us a little bit about how WaterFX came into play with the founders, and what exactly you do. You didn't actually build a nuclear power plant, did you? You did something else, right?
Well, no, nuclear power plants are quite difficult to build and very expensive. Yeah, no, we haven't. No, that got the 1, 2, 3 punch from inexpensive natural gas, the economy taking a bit of a tank, and then of course you add Fukushima issues to it, and that was pretty much flattened out the opportunity to do anything with nuclear power in the state of California in terms of building new nuclear plants. However, the idea was to use clean energy to make clean water. That's the foundation of the idea, and meaning clean energy, meaning low carbon energy, because nuclear power plants don't produce carbon when they're running. So the idea was to use that energy to provide clean power for the Central Valley of California and water. But Areva wasn't just a nuclear power company. They had made an investment in a company called Ausra, which is a solar company of Australia, which was a thermal solar technology company. And so, as we were driving to create an integrated design, the program was we'll build a clean energy park, And the first thing we would do is use thermal solar energy to clean water. Then we build the nuclear power plant to come into the park later on. And Areva at the time, the company I was working for, had a thermal solar energy division in the South Bay. So that was going to become the technology to drive the first round of cleaning the water. And then it was like, okay, so what water are we cleaning? Well, we're going to clean agricultural drainage water. Well, what's that? So that led to Panoche, who's, like we were talking about earlier, is ground zero for, the challenges of agricultural drainage water. The whole west side of the valley is quite challenged. Actually, the whole state of California is challenged with that. And so the company WaterFX was formed with the idea of using the Areva technology. That actually didn't happen because Areva was having some financial challenges. So another technology was used, yet the company was still born to use thermal solar energy and multi-effect distillation to create a pilot project to prove that it could sustainably clean that very difficult agricultural drainage water.
So now that you built that facility, it's in it's operational in the Panoche Water District. How long has it been up and running, and what are the successes you've seen, Bruce?
Well, it currently does not run. It was actually built as a pilot project. You think of it as a big, maybe a PhD type of engineering project. It was designed to prove that the technology would work and prove the economics. It wasn't really designed to, with the idea that if it worked, that we would build a larger plant, about a $30 million plant right next to that plant, with a real production unit that would clean 2,500 acre feet per year, and would put the clean water into the system, and we would take that to a zero liquid discharge, and then we would remove the salts and take the salts out of the valley. Because what we learned as part of this process is there's about 200 million tons of salt on the valley, and we put about 20 million tons of salt on it every year. There's a lot of very salty wells. Salts can be boron, sodium chloride, sodium sulfate. There's lots of different kinds of salts, not your typical table salt. Nitrates, there's all sorts of things on boron. So the goal was to take the water to a zero liquid discharge, take the salts and recycle them into industry, and put the water back into the water system so they could be used for farming. So basically recycling the water and taking the byproduct and recycling it into industry, including potentially building products like tile and bricks and things that you could actually build a structure with, build roads and walls and ceilings, things you could actually build a community with from the byproduct. So use clean energy to make clean water, use the water for food and hydration, and use the byproduct to build products that you could use to build your community with.
That almost sounds too good to be true. So instead of nuclear power, you were able to use solar power to clean up this tailwater, and then with all these usable byproducts, and then using the water for ag. What was happening to this water before you came along?
Well, that's an interesting question. The area at the Panoche, which is actually the Panoche Drainage District, they have a 6,000-acre sump where all the water goes to this large area that they grow Jose tall wheatgrass, which is a salt-tolerant grass that they were taking some of the water coming through there and basically growing some food for cattle, which is Jose tall wheatgrass, and it uses salty water. And really, there's a rule that says that at some point they can no longer take any of that water and dump it into the San Joaquin River, which is coming up real soon, that there's no longer allowed to do that, because right now whatever flows over out of that large reused sump area goes into the San Joaquin River. So the idea is to be able to take and start cleaning the water, reusing it, and take the salt away as a final solution to the abundance of salty water that's happening out there in the Central Valley.
And I'm sure the water isn't as salty as seawater, which is like, 35,000 parts per million? What's this brackish water, 2,000 or so? Or how salty is it?
Well, what day is it and how much rain happened? dilution. There's naturally occurring salts coming out of the mountains to the west across the valley. Those mountains are full of salts and boron. All the wells out there are pretty salty, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 TDS. This reuse area water can be as high or higher than seawater, depending on, what its condition is, because it's being concentrated. There's 100,000 acre-feet of land out there that's tiled, so French drains or tiling, that feeds all that water to that 6,000 acre reuse area, and it continues to become concentrated as more salt water arrives there, but the salt water doesn't leave.
Not unlike the Salton Sea, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's just becoming more salty. It's a massive problem across the planet. We receive requests from people all over the world struggling with salt intrusion into the groundwater, and it's a continuing problem, and you just don't grow food with that kind of water. So everybody's looking for a solution. So some of the solutions are, well, we'll just desalt the water, and then we'll just start piling the salt over on this land, and then we take the land out of service. In California, if we don't do something other than what we're currently doing, 100 years from now, you won't be farming in the state of California. It'll all be covered in so much salt, and the wells and the water will be so salty that you'll foul the state at the rate we're dumping salt on the land.
Bruce, so we had a real wet winter last winter, which was preceded by 5 years of drought. How does that dynamic change the tailwater situation, and is it a bigger problem or a lesser problem? How would you describe that?
Well, another interesting question. So more water, states flush with water, so everybody's happy, right? Well, we can only have as much water as we can hold. Everything else actually makes its way to the ocean. But what happens now is you have more water that's salty, because now you're mixing all that nice, fresh water that's leached itself into the upper-level aquifer and the surface water systems, and now, which are salty. So now you have more salty water to clean, but maybe at a lower TDS.
Got it.
Right? So there's actually more of it to clean.
So Bruce, can we recharge our groundwater with this desalted water or desalinated water or distilled water, whatever the correct term is, that you're creating? Can your process then create water to put back in our aquifer, which is what we're trying to do these days, is rebuild our savings account, our bank account of water in the groundwater?
Well, you can put it into certain aquifers. Obviously, when there's subsidence, those aquifers are kind of flattened out, and you can't recharge those. So there are aquifers that are rechargeable, some that are not rechargeable. So yes, you can put them into underground water banks. I mean, Kern County has a lot of water banks, semi-tropic, and others are storing water. So wherever you want to store the water, you could store it. What's interesting is there's give or take between 500,000 and 1 million acre-feet per year of agricultural drainage water that's salty that could be recycled, the salt taken away, and the water put back into the system wherever you like it. You can bank it, you can put it in a river, send it someplace, put it in a reservoir, trade it with somebody else. There's whatever you want to do with it. It's water that you could make available to the system, and you could continue to recycle it over and over.
And what are you doing with the water that you're currently creating?
Well, we're not actually running the plant because it was a pilot plant, but the plan was to put the water it was going to go into the Delta Mendota Canal, so it was going to go into the system, and then the salts are going to be taken away and recycled in the industry. That was what the next level, or the commercial size plant that we were going to build was going to happen. That's what our next planned step was.
Uh-huh. And now the plan is to do what?
Well, the plan is to take that next step, but it's difficult to do when there's really no high level of interest in doing it because it costs money. Everybody wants water falls out of the sky, and everybody wants water for free. It's a God-given right, so why would we pay money for it? But what's interesting enough going on is we now need to process water. We need to spend more money to do that, and we need to blend that water with the existing we'll say less expensive water, which is the things that follow the sky and run through the canals and lands in the reservoirs, though not free because we have to maintain that infrastructure and build more infrastructure. There's a lot of water that can be cleaned and put in that system, but it costs money. You're running a water processing plant, so that water is going to be more expensive, 2 or 3 times more expensive. Let's say maybe up to $1,500 an acre foot as opposed to maybe $500 an acre foot. Or in some cases where people in the valley are paying $20 an acre foot for water because they have some rights to water that gives them a great deal. Because water in California is unstructured. You can have a farmer on one side of the road pay $1,000 an acre foot for water, and the farmer on the other side of the road pay $20. That'd be the same as going to a gas station intersection. One gas station's 50 cents a gallon, the other one's $500 a gallon. So there's no structure, there's no water structure, trading structure, and it's a kind of a loosely held program. So you have a lot of water that's got various prices. So only the people paying the highest prices would be interested in investing in something like this. And frankly, the technology people in the state of California that do tech, meaning apps, the Googles and the Yahoos and the Microsofts and of the area, they don't have a high level of interest in water. They have a high level of interest in something that goes on your phone. So there's not a lot of investment, and everybody wants high levels of return. So a little frustrating to build one of these projects because they don't give the returns that maybe Google or Yahoo are looking for, or an Apple. So there's not a high level of interest. Infrastructure projects are not of interest to the tech people and the people with the money, and the VC guys are looking for high level guaranteed returns, and everybody wants to figure out how they're going to get in the game and make lots of money. They're not really that concerned about what's going on with water. It's just another commodity that they try to make money on, right? So it's not a sexy program available out there that you can get your name on the front of Time magazine with.
But I think you made an excellent point earlier, Bruce, when you said the amount of tailwater that is out there in the state, the millions and millions of acre feet of water. I think we need to point out to our listeners that 1 acre foot of water is enough for 2 households for a full year. So this is a significant amount of water that we all need to grow our food and to drink, let alone all the other things we do with it personally and through our economy as a state.
Yeah, but there's not a single thing, in my opinion, more important on this planet than clean water. Hydrates your body, it grows your food. Pretty much, we've lived 1 million years on this planet without cell phones and electricity and applications and computers, but we've never lived a day on this planet without clean water. And there's 1.5 billion people on this planet that are dehydrated and drinking terrible water and dying every day. These people, 10 to 20,000 people a day on this planet for lack of clean water and food. So it's the most important thing on the planet. And I'm completely addicted to helping solve the issues of bringing sustainable, clean water, using clean energy anywhere we can on the planet. A picture building a power plant, water plant, because they are integrated. Water is energy, energy is water, that you could put in the middle of someplace. You could turn the dial to the left and make clean energy during the day when you need the power. Turn the knob to the right at nighttime, make clean water at nighttime. Take the byproduct and build the roads and the walls and the floors and the ceilings to the community. And this can be done. And there's a lot of ways to do it. We're technology agnostic. It's about just going out there and actually doing it, but somebody has to decide that it's important and it's worth the investment to do.
Well, I would also add, not only are we as people dependent on water for eating and for drinking and so forth, but the environment upon which we depend has to have water in order to be sustained. So, yeah, I totally agree. It is the number one issue, and it only becomes important, it seems, when water doesn't fall out of the sky, which is very unfortunate. But I think there is more awareness since this last drought. It was pretty severe and prolonged, and I think people are getting the message, and hopefully we'll wake up to the fact that, water is a very local issue, and, life doesn't happen without water. You can live without all those other things you mentioned, but you absolutely cannot live without water. So I hope it gets higher priority and that we can get some investment into what sounds like fantastic projects like yours.
Well, what I'm learning, and it's, I've been spending about a decade now on water since about 2006, and become very addicted to solving the issues. And I've met a lot of people, and from politicians to investors to technology people. And what I'm learning is that there isn't quite enough pain yet in the water space for people to actually truly appreciate it. It's very amazing. So when I say to somebody, well, what happens if you turn on the tap and no water comes out or black water comes out? What are you going to do? They said, well, we're going to call our local politician and tell them they need to fix that because they're obligated to make sure I have cheap water at my house. So, yeah. I mean, with an attitude like that and not understanding that water actually grows food, and if you want quality food, you need to have quality water, there's really a real big lack of education, lack of importance to the general public about the importance of water, and the investors don't want to invest in it because it doesn't give high enough returns and it's too long of a return. So even the philanthropists would prefer not to invest in that space. So I think there needs to be more education, certainly, and you guys are doing a great job at getting out there and talking to the world about how it all really works. And at the same time, people need to probably, I guess, have a little bit more pain so they can actually really understand it, because nobody's going to flock to it as an investment until it gives high returns or the world's in dire straits and it sounds like the place we need to play in. I mean, to give you an example, we'll ask, how many bottles of water do we actually drink in America annually out of bottles? Do you have any idea?
No. Probably 1 billion.
Over 50 billion of any size.
Oh, crazy.
Right? And what do you think of the average price per gallon for that water as we pay? Now, remember, you buy these bottles at the ballpark for $1, at the local street fairs for $1. You get them cheaper at the grocery store and you buy 36 of them, or you fill it up in your big container up. But wait.
I figured that out once, and it's outrageous. It's like $50 a gallon. I paid, it was an odd situation. I had to buy a bottle of water at a convenience store on a recent trip, and it was like $3.50 for, a pint of water. It's like, my God, that's probably $50 a gallon.
Well, the average price we pay for all water throughout America, drinking water, is $10 a gallon. And, it's more than twice what gasoline is. And you've got Nestle and Coca-Cola and these big water companies out buying water rights everywhere, bottling it up and doing quite well, but nobody's paying attention to what they're up to and what they're doing. It's a very fascinating thing, and for me, it rings as an important thing to invest my time in and to work on and to be diligent about it, because truly, at the end of the day, it's the survival of the planet comes from the fact that we actually have water for hydration and water for food.
Well, and I think you brought up a good point, Bruce. California is number one in terms of food production in the country. We produce over half of all the fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, and citrus consumed as a nation right here in California. So, I mean, even though we're struggling here, for example, with water issues, it affects everybody in the country and all those we export products to as well.
Right. Well, when you export products, you're exporting your water. One almond's like a gallon of water. So every almond you send out of the country, the state of California just sent out a gallon of water. So,
well, I mean, we had a guest on, Pat Mulroy from Nevada, who also pointed out that when we import electronic gear from overseas, that also, like, it takes 80 gallons of water to create the chip in your iPhone. So,
it's amazing. Well, so, and it's also what you eat. As an example, and I won't do the guess again with you, a hamburger is 680 gallons of water. That's the bun, the meat, the food for the cow, and then a pair of jeans is around 2,000 gallons of water.
Right.
My jeans are about 3,000 gallons, Bruce.
Okay, now if your jeans were designer jeans, they'd be 6,000 gallons.
No, they're not.
No, you're right. We as a as a world of people have to have a better appreciation for the value of water, because you only really appreciate it when you don't have it, and that's too late.
Yeah,
we're talking about.
Yep.
So what do you see happening over the next 5, 10, 15 years here in the West in the last 2 or 3 minutes that we have to visit with you?
Well, I do see a movement. I do see advancing technologies, people working towards integrated or interesting membrane solutions. The UCLA guys working with the Torre company are doing a lot of work in that space, and then there's MIT guys trying to find out better ways to bring the economics, get the economics more in line so that we can clean water. I see more desalination going on, not just in the ocean, but inland. And in inland desalination, because this is the big challenge for desalination, is what do you do with the byproduct water? Or if you turn it into a powder, what do you do with it? In the typical ocean desalination, you ship it back out the ocean and you disperse it. There's a little bit of an environmental issue with that. But what do you do inland? Are you going to stuff it in the ground? Are you going to pour it onto a pond? So I see that's why I'm a big driver for taking the salts. We've done some work up at the Colorado School of Mines to make like a tile and make soaps and all kinds of things out of salts, where you actually blend it with a polymer and you make a product out of it so that you can use it to build community. So that way the byproduct, like an aluminum can or a plastic bottle, actually gets used. So I see an industry developing, kind of like the deck industry went from wood to this product called Trex and other, simulated kind of materials, of synthetic materials to build decks with and ultimately other things with. So I see the same thing happening with salts that you use from desalination, and we actually bring it into the industry like aluminum cans and plastic bottles, and we use it, we recycle it, and we build community with it. So that's a big challenge coming up, but a huge industry to be developed as part of the desalination grows. More effort's going to have to be put into that also as we try to drive this into some sustainable program.
Chris, I just want to say thank you on behalf of Ingy and I for carving out some time. I know you're busy and out of state. You took the time to call in and participate in the Water Zone. Thank you for your passion in this industry, this space. It's been a real pleasure getting to hear what you're up to and what WaterFX is up to. And if you can ever need a platform to come in and speak and tell anybody about what you're doing and how you're doing it, please give us a call. We'll be happy to put you back on the Water Zone.
Hey, happy to participate, happy to make a difference.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right. You all have a great evening.
Rob, back to you.
Oh, I sure learned a lot today. When you're not involved with things like that, you have no idea what goes on behind the scenes, and I was just quite amazed. I won't get political, but, we spend money on government to do lots of different things, and I always say take the top 3 to 5 issues and solve those issues first before you take on and create 800 new laws a year, at least here in California. But I'll tell you, both gentlemen had a good story, and things are going right, and we got to figure out what to do, because without water, it's not going to matter. We won't have a life. We won't have a world. So anyway, thanks, guys. You did a great job, and we appreciate it. I wanted to thank Miss Chris Austin for sitting here next to me and sharing the chair, and sitting in for Mike, even though she only said a couple words. But anyway, everybody have a great week. We'll see you next week. We'll start our contest, and remember the most important thing to do, think blue. Good night, everybody.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been serving the Inland Empire for over 60 years. We are locally owned and operated by the Stevens family. We not only clean carpet and furniture, we clean many loose rugs, including Oriental rugs. Oriental rugs are cleaned in our modern facility where the fringes are cleaned by hand, then hung in our modern facility to dry. We do not use steam cleaning to clean your fine furniture. Furniture is cleaned by hand using the same absorption cleaning used in the White House. Some furniture we bring into our plant to clean properly. We normally use 2 men on each cleaning job using the extraction method. There is nothing that will clean carpet better for our customers. Our job is to clean properly with quality first. Google Carpet Masters San Bernardino and give us a call, or go to carpetmasterssocal.com.
This is Pastor Greg from Chosen Generation Radio Show, heard right here on KCAA, 1 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Do any of these sound familiar? Not sleeping well, waking up tired, drinking more coffee than usual, can't stay focused, craving sugary drinks and snacks, feel like you're stuck on a treadmill, having trouble managing your weight, not sick but not firing on all cylinders? Any one of these could mean that you might have a system overload, and Thyrodrenal might just be right for you. Think about it. You've probably been feeling like this for a while. Life has a way of wearing you down, and if you aren't getting the right nutrients, then physical and emotional wear and tear will take its toll. Most of us at some time or another could use some nutritional support for our adrenal and thyroid glands to bring things back in balance. Our